All right, welcome back to the G YouTube videos. Let's do this. So, if you're new to the class, just remember while watching the G videos, focus, write your notes, pause and rewind if you need to go back. Always ask questions. You could raise your hand during the videos, and basically enjoy the show. So, what is the first lesson of review for Precalculus? You guys are the sharks right now. Remember, it's going to be solving radical equations. So what does that look like? It'll look something like this, right? If I say square root of 3x plus 1 minus 3 equals 7, solve for x, there are some things we need to do, okay? What I'd like you to do is, if you feel a little shaky and want to review some of the notes to solve for this, have this in your notes, right? The first move is isolate the radical. Second is exponentiate, and I'll explain what that means. Both sides, repeat steps 1 and 2, solve the resulting equation, and always, what do you do with these types of questions? Check your answer for extraneous solutions, right? Okay, so let's have this in your notes, and then we'll begin the first question. So let's look at this one. So what I'll do is I'm going to have the steps here. So I'm going to do the problem and we'll have the steps to the right side, okay? So what is the first move here? If I have square root of 3x plus 1, and make sure I have this whole thing, minus 3 equals 7, what's the first move we want? Is isolate the radical, right? So how do we isolate this radical? What are we going to do? Plus 3 on both sides, and now I have square root of 3x plus 1. Negative 3 plus 3 is 0, but that cancels, and it equals 7 plus 3, which is 10. Okay? So the first move we did was we isolate, right? So we could say moves. Isolate, that was the first move. Now, what do we want to do? What's the second move? What do we want to do? We want to exponentiate. So from here, when we say exponentiate, this means you're going to square both sides to get rid of the radical. So this cancels. And now what do we have? We have 3x plus 1 equals 100. Okay? And this was the step. We had exponentiate, right? And just a little, let's see, a little reminder. Hold on, wait, let me get some paper over here real quick. Why is it, like, for example, if I have square root of 5, right, and I square it, why does it equal 5? Why does it cancel out the radical? Well, the reason is, if I have square root of 5, right, and if I square it, what am I doing? I'm doing square root of 5 times square root of 5. But what is the square root of 5 times the square root of 5? This is the square root of 25. But what's the square root of 25? It's just 5. So you see here, that's the reason why it cancels this radical when you square both sides. And the same thing happens. Like, let's say if I have cubic root of 5, right? If I cube it, that's equal to what? That's equal to square root of 5 times square root of 5 times square root of 5. I'm sorry, cubic root. It's a cubic root. Oh, sorry. If I have cubic root of 5 and I cube both sides, I get this. But then this is equal to what? What's 5 times 5 times 5? This is 125. And what's the cube root of 125? It's 5. So if I cube a cubic root, it cancels it, okay? Same thing if I had to the 4th and whatever, okay? So going back to this, I have 3x plus 1 equals 100. So now what do I want to do? I just want to get x by itself. So minus 1, 3x equals 99. What do I do to both sides? Divide by 3, x equals 33, right? If you just stop this question and move on to the next one, shame on you. You know that's not what you're supposed to do. What is the last move you need to do? You need to check your answers. And what was this step here? This one was solve for x, right? Okay. Let's see. So now we have to check. So now check. What do we do with this x equals 33? We have to plugging in this x equals 33. We got to plug into this one. So here, if I have, let's check it. If I have square root of 3x plus 1 minus 3, does this equal 7? Well, x equals what? 33, right? So square root of 3 times 33 plus 1 minus 3, does it equal 7? Question mark, right? We're trying to check it. Well, let's see. Square root of what's 3 times 33? This is 99 plus 1 minus 3 equals 7. And just to extend our page a little bit, right? Square root of 99 plus 1 is the square root of 100 minus 3 equals 7. Square root of 100 is 10 minus 3 equals 7. 7 equals 7. Check. So here, x equals 33 is the solution. Okay? All right. So let's move on to the next one. Example number 2. And here, what I want you to do is try and solve this problem by yourself. This is example number 3. You could try and solve it by yourself. And this is example number, where is example 4? I had an example 4. There is another example, but let's see, where did I put it? Let me pause the video real quick. Let's look at example number 2. Okie dokie. So, example 2. If I have square root of 19 minus 3x minus 1 equals 3x, what's your first move? Always isolate the radical, right? So how do I isolate this radical? This is plus 1. And now what do I have? I have square root of 19 minus 3x is equal to 3x. Can I add these two? Of course not. They're not like terms, plus 1. Okay? So the first move is isolate radical. Isolate radical. What's my second move? I'm going to, here I have a square root. So to cancel the square root, I'm going to square both sides. And now what do I get? The move here is exponentiate, right? And now what happens here? This cancels, right? The square root and the square. So this is 19 minus 3x. But now here we have what? We have 3x plus 1 squared. And now this 19 minus 3x stays the same. But how do you solve this? This 3x plus 1 squared becomes what? 3x plus 1 times 3x plus 1. Right? If you say this is equal to, if you said this was equal to like 9x squared plus 1, shame on you. Absolutely not. You have to FOIL this, right? So 19 minus 3x is equal to, we got to FOIL this. 3x times 3x, 9x squared. 3x times 1 is 3x. 1 times 3x is 3x. 1 times 1 is 1. So 19 minus 3x is equal to 9x squared plus 6x plus 1. Okay? Now here, what do? How do you solve for x? So note, anytime we have the highest degree is 2, right? When I talk about degree, I'm talking about the exponent. We get 0 on one side. Okay? We've done this before. Anytime we have some quadratic or some degree 2, we always want 0 on one side. Why? So we can factor, right? So from here, how do you get 0 on one side? I mean, you could subtract everything from here to here, but I would rather subtract everything from here to here. So now here, what I would want to do is, let's use this color. I'm going to minus 19 plus 3x on both sides. So now 19, I'm going to do what? Minus 19 with the 1 here, and this is plus 3x. Okay? So now what do we get? So now here I have 0 is equal to what? 9x squared plus 9x minus 18. Okay? Now here, what I want you to do is try and solve for x before I do it. Okay? Okay, now if you want to come back to the video, let's see. Here, the famous this is from Mr. Joseph Apate. I give a shout out to you. If possible, what do you do? Oh, whoops, sorry. This is what Mr. Joseph Apante said last year. If possible, factor out GCF, right? So here, what is the GCF of here? It'll be 9. So 0. So if I'm going to factor out a 9, this is what? X squared plus x minus 2. Right? And now what do? What two numbers when you multiply give you negative 2, but when you add give you 1? Hold on 1 second. Be what? This will be 0 equals 9 times x plus 2 x minus 1, right? Because 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. 2 plus negative 1 is positive 1. So then what happens here? Once we have this, what move can we use? Let me move this. What move can we move here? Now this one is 0 product property, right? We can say x plus 2 equals 0, x minus 1 equals 0, okay? And then what do you get? X equals negative 2, x equals 1. Okie dokie. And now if you just stop, shame on you. What do we need to do? We need to check. So we need to check x equals negative 2. Well, let's see. What's the original equation? It's square root of 3x plus 1. Oh, no, that was the last problem, sorry. It is square root of 19 minus 3x minus 1 equals 3x. So what are we going to do? We're going to substitute this negative 2. So now we have square root of 19 minus 3 times, minus 3 times negative 2. Over here. Okay, let me rewrite it again. Sorry. So I have square root of 19 minus 3 times negative 2 minus 1 equals 3 times negative 2. Right? So now here I have square root of 19 plus 6 minus 1 equals negative 6. This is square root of 25 minus 1 equals negative 6. And then this becomes what? I'm running out of paper. Let me see. Do I have another piece of paper?